It's my pleasure first to introduce Kevin Norton with the Natural Resources Conservation Service of Louisiana, coming off a great Fat Tuesday, and he won't tell us about that, but he will tell us about Louisiana's Certainty Program, the Master Farmer Program in Louisiana. And so, Kevin, take it away.
Thank you, Ray, and if you'll move on to the next slide. This presentation actually was Brad Spicer, the Assistant Secretary or Assistant Commissioner for Agriculture, and I put this together. We've been a tag team, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to move through Louisiana's certainty effort and what we have available and what we're working on here within the state of Louisiana with the Department of Environmental Quality, EPA, and those organizations trying to put together a little bit more focused certainty efforts. So we'll kind of run through that. The green slide there on the left of your screen will be available as a PDF, and it actually has a side-by-side comparison between the Louisiana Master Farmer Program that I'll go through in some detail, and then also the options that might exist for a certainty effort in Louisiana. Next slide, please. The Master Farmer Program in Louisiana was established under Louisiana state law in 2003. The authority for the program resides with the Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, and Brad Spicer actually works directly for the Commissioner and supports local soil and water conservation districts. It is statewide in scope and is applicable to all producers. So any agriculture producer can come in and request a conservation plan. It is voluntary. It does apply to the whole farm or ranch or forest unit that is under their control, and at a minimum it encompasses all that land within the 12-digit hydrologic unit within a given watershed. Many of our plans expand across multiple watersheds, but the key thing is it's whole farm, it's whole agriculture unit, and it's all land uses within the unit. It requires the implementation of a resource management system plan to the Natural Resource Conservation Service standards and the local soil and water conservation district program standards. So it is very wide-ranging. Next slide, please. Under state law, they're presumed compliance with state soil and water requirements as long as they maintain their certification. It requires a review at least once every 5 years. And so in the big umbrella of things, it allows individuals that are master farmers to navigate environmental compliance issues, and it makes these operations well positioned for any future pressure that comes on agriculture. So it's voluntary, it's individual, it's wide-ranging, and it covers the full gamut. If they've really implemented their resource management system plan, which is the target that we're shooting for, then the idea is that if there was any regulatory issue relative to water quality, to point source discharging from a CAFO or something like that, or even a threatened endangered species issue, that the regulatory agency would contact the local soil and water conservation district. If they're a master farmer, there would be an opportunity for that person to be the last, or that farm to be the last one that was looked at as they searched for their issues or the source of the problem. So it's a presumed compliance. You're a master farmer, you're good to go. Next slide. Verification occurs through the local soil and water conservation district here in Louisiana. That is with the technical support and assistance of NRCS. In many of the conservation districts, they do not have staffed technicians, so whenever that situation exists, we provide that support to the district and provide our information to the district, Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Louisiana State University Ag Center. The Master Farmer Program requires an educational component, which is a workshop, on-farm field visit and discussion of conservation practices, and then the development and implementation of a plan. So it's a three-phase process, and the Louisiana State University Ag Center actually handles the educational component, and we support that through the Soil and Water Conservation Districts and NRCS. The overarching issues with this as a sole certainty program for the state is that it is all-encompassing and is statewide, so it's very hard to focus your energy and effort. Some people believe that it could be construed as regulatory overreach. If water quality is the issue, you're requiring individuals to treat all the other resources to a higher standard than the regulatory agency would require. Most of the regulating agencies are issue-driven, and they also view Louisiana Master Farmer as overkill for their issues. And then the one-to-one linkage with the targeted resource concern is it's embedded in Master Farmer. It's not a clear connection, but it's there, it's taken care of, but it's not real clear. Next slide. So with all the potential regulatory interests that we have here in Louisiana, air quality, water use in terms of irrigation and use of water for surface and groundwater for agriculture, T&E species, and then our animal feeding operations, we're looking at, the next slide please, the potential for some other sort of certainty program that fits more precisely with the regulatory interests. And while the Louisiana Master Farmer Program is very well established in state law and it grants that responsibility of the Commissioner of Agriculture on certainty, it really falls to the responsible regulatory agency in Louisiana for water quality and air quality. That would be the Department of Environmental Quality. And we have Department of Natural Resources that deals with water quantity issues. So it really focuses the opportunity to grant certainty to the regulatory agency and what they're targeted in terms of, or how they're targeting a resource concern. The scope of a certainty effort would be more confined, where the Master Farmer Program is statewide. This would be more confined to the geographic area, the aquifer, the wildlife habitat, critical habitat area, those kinds of things, and allows you to focus your resources towards a specific interest in a specific geographic area. Next slide, please. Still would remain voluntary. No one's required to enter into a certainty effort. So it would be voluntary on the part of a participant. The plan would be implemented. We're working with LDEQ on what are the key things that they would like to see implemented on farm to best target the water quality issues, and then they would grant some kind of regulatory certainty for a period of time around that issue. Next slide. Presume compliance with a resource quality standard for the targeted issue. The length of certainty would be established by the regulatory agency. You know, the thing there is that it has to be of a sufficient length, and they also call this regulatory predictability, kind of back to Mike's slides. It has to be sufficient that the landowner or the operator on the land would make the investments to reach out there and say, I'll do this, and if I maintain it, then you'll leave me alone for X period of time. So, you know, what that needs to be set in a sufficient length of time that it works for the producer. The benefits is it provides an incentive for producers to adopt and maintain conservation systems. It actually can enhance the ongoing cost share and treatment efforts and move us forward in implementation, hopefully at a pace that would avoid any future regulatory work on the part of those agencies. Next slide. Verification could be with any third party. You know, our example would always be that soil and water conservation districts could engage in that. Next slide. Here's some of our overarching issues. One is we don't want to do anything that detracts from the Louisiana Master Farmer Program. That really equates to sustainable agriculture. And what we would like for is the certainty effort to be a component of building towards Louisiana Master Farmer Program. All Louisiana Master Farmers equal certainty for whatever the resource issue is, but not all certainty agreements would equate to a Master Farmer certification. There is some reluctance on the part of the regulatory agencies to jump on a certainty program until they see that it is proven to create results. The big question that we continue to get is, so if we do all this and we have 100% participation and we see no improvement, where does that leave us into the future? So that's a big question that comes from the interest that we're working with. Next slide. The other questions are, what would the agreement look like? You know, there's a lot of lawyers that want to look at this very tightly. Who would do the third party, and how do you do that in a way that it does not, that, you know, it doesn't appear that the third party is a quasi-regulator? All that a conservation district would have to do is turn a person in one time, and then you would never get any more people participating in certainty or in RCS access to the person's land. Confidentiality and firewall between the land managers, and then is this providing a backdoor path for regulatory efforts? These are all questions that we're getting from our agriculture groups and the people that we're working with. And you know, our deal is, if we can put this together in a way that we provide the right amount of insulation and put in the firewalls, then we'll be able to be successful in actually improving the resource issue, which is our #1 target, is continuing to make agriculture productive and viable, and the ecosystems thriving where the agriculture production is occurring. Next slide. So we have a path forward, and it's continuing the dialogue, piloting in watersheds, trying to construct the appropriate MOUs, and working through these things from start to finish procedurally so that everybody involved is clear where we're trying to go here, and that our ultimate goal is natural resource improvement. Next slide. And so that we have a shared vision of creating voluntary incentive-based approach that would provide enough regulatory predictability for a sufficient length of time to encourage land managers to invest in conservation measures that are science-based, effective, and sustainable. And that concludes my presentation.
Kevin, we really